Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming and News, a big announcement that some of you will have already seen, heard, or read about. White Wolf has been resurrected, rebirthed, reignited, been drawn, kicking and screaming from torpor to live once more. That's it. White Wolf are back. Paradox Interactive have announced it. But what does that mean? Well, let's get started, shall we? Let's get started with a bit of positivity. This channel is always about positivity. It may not always sound it, but this video certainly won't be, but this channel has never been about ranting and raving about things you dislike. I love role-playing games, and I want more people to play role-playing games, and I think you're more likely to get more people playing role-playing games if you talk about the things you love than if you just moan about it, and especially if you moan about it without providing solutions. And there's plenty of people out there who grift based on ranting and raving, artificial outrage. I much prefer artificial positivity. I much prefer the idea of encouraging people to play by telling them what you love and what you're optimistic about. So that is what this video is going to be. This isn't going to be some teardown of the announcement. It's not going to be me saying Paradox, smell, and I hope Bloodlines 2 fails. Nothing like that. Quite the contrary. I hope they do well. And let's get into the announcement to see why. White Wolf returns, a homecoming for World of Darkness, is the headline. For over 3 decades, White Wolf has stood at the bleeding edge of supernatural and horror storytelling. Not strictly true, because of course there have been periods where White Wolf hasn't really been operational, but we'll carry on. From Vampire the Masquerade to Werewolf the Apocalypse and Mage the Ascension, our games helped shape generations of roleplayers, writers and dreamers who sought meaning in the shadows. That's a nice opening. Today we are proud to announce that World of Darkness will once again be guided under the name that birthed it, White Wolf. This isn't just a name change, it's a return to our roots and a commitment to the future. A future where mature horror stories are told with care, where community and collaboration are central, where fans, creators and licensees can find clarity, support and inspiration under a banner they trust. Simultaneously, we are announcing today that White Wolf will now be a publisher as well as a licensor of World of Darkness games. Easy for me to say. This means that we will continue to work with our network of licensing partners who bring you all the great video games, tabletop role-playing games, card games and more, but we will also develop some new games internally and publish them. The first game that we will publish as White Wolf is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 as co-publisher with Paradox Interactive. We will announce additional games from White Wolf as the publisher later this year. As White Wolf, we will reinforce our legacy as pioneers of narrative-driven horror and emotional roleplay across all our products, provide clear leadership across all World of Darkness media and products, support creators with improved tools, transparency and canon guidance with 1 N in the middle there. They're not helping with the artillery. Maintain rigorous standards for inclusivity, sensitivity, and collaboration in storytelling. The night belongs to us all. Welcome home, family. Now, aside from my objection to that word family at the end, hashtag family, we end there with the logo of White Wolf, the new logo of White Wolf, which I'm sure I will probably incorporate into the thumbnail of this video. This isn't the old logo of White Wolf. The old logo was a paw print bursting out from a frame. This is more contained, and White Wolf is in cleaner, softer font with a clean underline underneath it. It represents a new era, you could say, and yet a return to what acts as nostalgia, I suppose. The fuel that burns in our engines, creatively speaking. So, what does all of this mean? Well, cynical me, still positive, says that this is a very good way of attaching a known brand name, White Wolf, to an upcoming video game, Bloodlines 2, and capitalizing on it. It's no different than HBO launches HBO Max. They then change it to Max, realize HBO has a greater reputational impact, and so revert to HBO Max, as they are or will be doing. And so, with the coming of Bloodlines 2, releasing that under the banner of White Wolf makes perfect sense to me. White Wolf and Paradox Interactive, that means you're potentially going to get 2 markets, additional customers. As I say, I always like more people getting into our games. So if you can use the White Wolf name, you absolutely should. I may well be cynical about it, but that's only because I understand the logic behind it. I would do the exact same thing. There's some people who are saying this is a cynical cash grab, capitalizing on a dead identity and things like that. No. No, not for me. Paradox owns the White Wolf brand, they should use it, and I understand why it has been torpid for a while after the White Wolf team that I was a part of more or less dissolved, for various reasons we won't go into in this video, to be replaced with the World of Darkness team, and now we have the White Wolf team. Is the White Wolf team the same as the World of Darkness team? That's a question we do not know from this announcement. There's a lot of speculation about new people coming in, old people going out. Is the person who has long been in charge of approvals, Karim, going to be at Paradox while other people are in White Wolf, or is he going to be part of White Wolf? We don't know. We don't know if there's going to be a change in creative direction. We don't know if there's going to be a change in what gets approved and what gets rejected. We don't know if current licensees such as Renegade are going to still be able to produce World of Darkness books. There's nothing to indicate it one way or another, beyond the fact that White Wolf is the licensor now. What that means is they will be approving the work of other licensees. So therefore, your Renegade, your Onyx Paths, if we were still doing World of Darkness or Chronicles of Darkness, Flyos Games with their board games, various companies will be going through to White Wolf now as the approval licensor. One would assume, but again, this is still speculation and we don't know for certain. Beyond this, a lot of what is stated in the announcement is positive affirmation, reinforcement of codes and ideals, the idea of approaching horror in a mature way, a sensitive way, inclusivity, diversity, supporting creators. All of these are things that Paradox Interactive, in theory, are already doing, should have already been doing, and the idea that White Wolf now wants to do it is good. It isn't remarkable, but at the same time, from a marketing standpoint, and this is a marketing announcement, more or less, it's just labeling the things we want to achieve. And sometimes you need to go back and look at the things that were your tentpoles, your headlines, and reaffirm them so the community knows, your customers, your business partners. Again, that's not a bad thing to state all of these things. Sometimes you need not only to let old people, old fans, old customers know, but also to let new customers know these are what you stand for. These are the elements you stand for with your company. So, again, I think that's good. I don't see why that would be a problem. Now, there are plenty of people who are taking this announcement very badly, and it's disheartening in a way, disappointing to see, reductive to see, because people are saying, well, this is the second time Paradox have brought back the White Wolf name, and I'm sure it's not going to go as well as the first, or I'm sure it can't go much worse than the first time, and other such terms. They are saying things like, well, Paradox went woke and went broke, which is why they're having to use White Wolf now to bail them out. They're saying that if the game keeps aiming for diversity and inclusivity, it's going to keep failing, as if that has ever been the problem with 5th edition. There's all kinds of mindless, entitled conjecture and complaining. And you know what? It isn't just from the, I guess, what you might call neckbeard rightists who are saying that kind of thing. Get the woke out of World of Darkness, as if World of Darkness hasn't always been woke. It's people also saying this is just going to be another way of wrapping up the Nazi dog whistles. It's just going to be another way of persecuting minorities. Paradox have failed year after year after year with this property. They're going to fail again. I think both complaints are disingenuous. They are somewhat ill-informed, and that isn't for me to say that you're stupid if you think that way. I'm not saying you're stupid. I assure you of that. What I am suggesting is if the company is making an announcement that they are going to attempt to do these things, if you're a fan of the property, you should probably exert some patience. Now, that's not to say you need to give them your money. It just means you need to wait and see what falls out from all of this. And there is absolutely no way on God's green earth that this new White Wolf is not going to occasionally make a mistake. They will make mistakes. I promise you they will make mistakes. Every company I have ever worked for has made mistakes, whether it's through content included, whether it is through relationships with freelancers, whether it is through pay, whether it is marketing, whether it's visuals. There's all kinds of places a company can make an error. And companies are judged based on how they react to those, how they fix them, how they move on from them. White Wolf will make those mistakes too. And they will sometimes be mistakes of a political nature. This is just going to happen. You cannot please 100% of the people 100% of the time. All you can do is try your best to write material maturely, sensitively, research your material where necessary, and don't just go for vulgar shock value for the sake of appealing to a minority who just keep saying, bring back Black Dog, who I don't think understand that there is no necessity for Black Dog at this point. The Black Dog imprint of White Wolf in the 90s was a way of putting their, I guess what you might call R18 material in their own books. That kind of material existed across the 20th anniversary books, the Chronicles of Darkness books, the 5th edition books, without the need for Black Dog. There is no need to silo off the ultra-mature material now from the rest of it. It is now just presented as one whole book. So, yeah, when people start saying things like, 5th edition is dumbed down, diversity has killed the game, Paradox are just diluting it, blah, 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 and we want the game to be hardcore and edgy and crude again. Well, that material exists. I promise you, that material is in there. You just need to stop being so sensitive about the parts that aren't necessarily aimed at you. That's another aspect, because you've got other people who are saying, these games are filled with offensive material that is beyond the pale, so to speak. I can't incorporate it in my games and I'm appalled to read it. Well, that is unfortunate. And I've apologised when I've been responsible for that kind of thing, certainly. But at the same time, it's described as gatekeepy. So this is getting a little bit off topic. I apologise. But there you go, I can apologise. It's described as gatekeepy sometimes when you say to someone, if you don't like this edition, that's absolutely fine. We have lots of previous editions, and if you don't want to play them, find a game you enjoy, maybe come back to us in a few years, check us out, see if we've changed your mind. That is fine, in my view. You should be able to say that. You shouldn't be trying to appease every single person. That doesn't mean you can't apologise. It doesn't mean you can't write maturely. It doesn't mean you can't write sensitively. It doesn't mean you can't hire the right writers from the right cultural background and do the right research. You can do all of those things. You should do all of those things where you can. But at the same time, there is always going to be customers on both sides of this fence, this divide that seems to be getting wider and wider and wider, who are going to be disappointed or going to have expectations that will not be met. And so the reason I'm talking about this at such length isn't just a diversion. It's because what I've noticed in the commentary surrounding this on sites like Facebook is a huge number of people have clamped onto this announcement with an agenda. They have tried to say, as long as the games come back and are more, well, just call it what it is, are more right-wing. And other people have come on and said, as long as the games are more left-wing and you don't keep pandering to the right or vice versa. And the game is political. The whole world of darkness is political. You can't escape that. It is political by nature. Vampire the Masquerade has a whole sect called the Anarchs and has done since day one. You cannot escape the politics, and you shouldn't with the world of darkness. The idea of trying to target a subsection of the audience rather than trying to write the best material possible is not covered in this announcement. All they say is they want to maintain rigorous standards for inclusivity, sensitivity, and collaboration in storytelling. And I think that is a damn good agenda point, personally. And if you comment on these kinds of posts to say, well, I expect the world of darkness to be like this from now on, that is, frankly, a bit of an entitled view. And it sounds harsh to say you get what you're given. But this is a creative enterprise, and you need to let the artists, the writers, the editors work. And if you don't like what they produce, yeah, you can moan about it online if you want. But my suggestion is, if you read it and you don't like it, come up with a better take on it and write about that. Release something on the Storyteller's Vault. Other people have. It's something you're allowed to do. And if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to do the work yourself, if you just want to complain about it, that's fine as well. But don't expect the company to cater to you just because you are unhappy, if that makes sense. Now, all of that said, so none of this covers, as I say, what Renegade's situation is going to be regarding them being a licensee or indeed any other company. It just says that White Wolf will work closely with them, with various licensees. It doesn't say anything about the next 5th edition, whether it will be Mage. It will be Mage, let's be honest. It doesn't really say anything about Bloodlines 2, other than the fact that White Wolf will be a name attached to it. But I think you should have reason for optimism here. There'll be plenty of people who are coming online telling you, don't trust them, this is all going to go horribly wrong. And I think, from my perspective, I may not work on it anymore. I am just a fan at this point. I work on plenty of other games, and I really enjoy working on Curseborn that doesn't have all of this baggage. And all of the options with none of the baggage is great. It's like flying first class. But if you do want to go to the World of Darkness, if you do want to see how White Wolf does this, have a little patience. See what they come up with. Don't go in with pure negativity and pessimism. See what they come up with. And try playing the game. Try enjoying what they come up with. And if it's not for you, that's okay. What I suspect strongly is that anyone who is working on this, and the same applies to pretty much every games company out there, the people working on this love the game. This isn't an industry you get into unless you're a fan of these things. So they love the game. They are trying their best to make a game that is good. They want it to do well. They want people to enjoy it. They want people to be horrified. They want people to be titillated. They want people to be scared. They want people to enjoy themselves. That's what they're trying to do. It may not necessarily always appeal to your tastes, but I have every confidence, without knowing who is in this White Wolf team, that they are going to be trying really hard to release some excellent games. And I really hope they do well. I want them to do so much better than 5th edition has been so far. I want them to do better than 20th anniversary. I want them to do better than Chronicles of Darkness. Don't want them to do better than Curseborn, because I'm working on Curseborn. But I want them to do well, and I want more role players to join the hobby, because that's what this should all be about. We should all want the hobby, the industry, this game line that this channel has so much focus on, to do well. So do your best to remain positive. Wait a while before you speculate. And if some piece of news comes out that you're not happy about, maybe sit on it a while. Let it gestate before you just fire off a comment about how Paradox went woke and went broke, or Paradox have inserted more dog whistles into their game. They're clearly trying to market it as a pamphlet to neo-Nazis. There's so much outrage out there. You don't need to contribute to it. Instead, enjoy the games that you're enthusiastic about, and if you don't like it, move on to a game you do enjoy. Relentlessly complaining is for the birds. We don't need that. We don't need that. Let's enjoy our games. And on that note, thank you so much to everybody, by the way. On recent videos, I've been making a bit of noise about the world below. It's doing so well on Drive-Thru-RPG right now. And this is my subterranean fantasy horror role-playing game that's got a lot of World of Darkness DNA in the way it's written. I co-wrote this one with Ed Greenwood and a lot of other fantastic authors. And Ed Greenwood, of course, is the man behind the Forgotten Realms. And the world below is doing so fantastically on Drive-Thru-RPG, but I'm going to use this opportunity to set the house on fire. Please check it out. Please check out the world below on Drive-Thru-RPG. I will link it in the video description below, because I want it to do even better. And if you like my videos, it's very rare that I will ask you directly for something, that I'll ask you to give me money. I'm not going to ask you to give me money, but I am going to ask you to buy a game, because this money from this game will come to me, and I want you to end up with a game. So please pick up a copy of The World Below. I would love it if you checked it out and left a comment below to let me know what you thought about it. It's a game we all poured a lot of love into, and it's received such fantastic feedback so far. Let's get it to the next medal tier on Drive Through RPG. I'm relying on you. And if you love this channel, if you love my content, if you love the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires, a Pentex Guide to Werewolves, or any of the other things, The World Below is a game I really want you to check out. So please do so. Thank you so much for watching. Stay positive, enjoy your gaming, and don't let the bastards grind you down. See you next time.